How do we open an episode about thankfulness?
Tell us everything you're thankful for. Why don't we just go around?
Yeah, why don't we go around and just say each of us tell us what we're thankful for. One thing off the top of your head you're thankful for.
One thing off the top of my head. All
yeah,
right.
Just one thing. Just one thing. Don't overthink it.
Let's start with you, Brandon. What's the first? What's the thing you're the most thankful for?
I'm thankful for the opportunity to get promoted potentially.
Hey.
Actually, because I did get team lead.
No,
so.
they did accept you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that. But also Evelyn.
There you go.
Hey, name drop on the pod right out the gate.
Name drop. What about you, Chris? What are you most thankful for?
I think for me, I am most thankful for all the people in my life who have made me happy when I'm not happy. I don't know, all my friends, my significant other, my family, just like having companionship of any kind is something I feel like it can be easy to take for granted. So it means a lot.
Yeah.
How about you, Ethan?
Oh man, the thing that I'm the most thankful for, I am the most thankful for. Let's see. I'm the most thankful that I'm in terms of stacked, I'm just the most thankful that all three of us are living right now.
We're doing all right.
We're doing pretty all right now. We're all in three different places. We're all just like, we're all hustling, we're all working, but we all still have time together to come together, and record this show that, we're not doing this for money. We're not doing this for the big views. We're just doing this because we like talking to each other,
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that we are able to just to have this thing every night, or not every night.
Every night. If we recorded an episode
every single night.
Here's a little thing I gotta admit. I do. I dream about stacked episodes every night, so I see you guys in my dreams, and we do a different topic every night when I go to bed.
Stop capping.
Shut up.
Stop capping. No cap, bro. No cap. No. No. Yeah. But yeah, like I don't know. We started this little band of geeks back in college. In film analysis, was it film theory?
Film theory was
film theory first?
Film theory was second.
So film analysis was first. I feel like because we had we had film history, but that was with Joey and Cody. But when it was truly just the three of us was film theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's when you two started rooming together sophomore year. Fall of sophomore year, and that's when we started having movie nights and just like yada da da da. Now we're here, with the only $1 billion podcast out on the internet.
$1 billion podcast.
We're the only $1 billion podcast.
We will be.
I think in the next 5 episodes we will be.
You think? Yeah. They think that story is going to bring in the monetization.
I think this one's going to be a doozy. Let's just say that. No, I'm really excited for this episode, which is episode 96 of Stacked, creeping up to a hundo. This week we're talking about the movies we're thankful for. Thanksgiving was last week. Who cares? I was moving. My Wi-Fi sucked. Now we're back. This was supposed to come out last Sunday, but now we're here. We're talking about movies we're thankful for, and I think just you can always be thankful throughout the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
But you can't be thankful after or before.
You can't be ever thankful before.
You can only be thankful starting the third weekend or the last. Is it the last Thursday? How do they do Thanksgiving? It's always a Thursday. Is it the third Thursday or is it the last Thursday?
It's the last Thursday.
The last Thursday. I think. The last Thursday of the month. That's when you can start to be thankful, but then that shit stops after the new year, okay? You cut that out.
Don't be thankful anymore.
Don't be thankful after that. That's when it's time to hustle and stab people in the back. Speaking of stacking people in the back, look forward to our Matt Ramos guest. He's gonna come guest on our podcast next week. Lots to talk about there.
I never agreed to that.
We're gonna be talking about movies we love screaming at. That's gonna be our stacked episode.
Soy facing at.
Soy facing. We're all gonna
Yeah.
pick Spider-Man: No Way Home. It's gonna be our first
Triple stack.
No, that's gonna be a quadruple stack.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna be 4 quadruple stacks, and then we're all gonna kill ourselves at the end of the show. No,
No.
just kidding. That's too dark. No, but we're back. Movies we're thankful for. This was really fun to pick some unique movies for me. And I think this is just gonna be a great time for us to just like. This is gonna be a bit more personal, you know. We're gonna have some stories to tell on this episode, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these will be movies to get to know us a bit better, you know, because like these don't necessarily have to be like the best movies, you know. These are just movies that we're thankful for, and you know, I have my reasons for mine, and I'm sure you guys have your reasons for yours. If you didn't have reasons, that'd be a little weird. You just picked 3 random movies. I don't know. Maybe you did, and you're just thankful for movies. But Brandon, or did you do that? What did you do, Brandon? How did you decide what movies you're thankful for?
I picked movies that I love or mean something to me. Either in a way that is like they give me the feeling of like what it means to be thankful for certain things, like maybe family, maybe the reason why movies exist. Like it's sometimes crazy to think that a movie exists when you look at like the synopsis of it or what studio had to make it and what they had to go through, you know. Like often in movies I feel like, oh, like why would you be thankful for like a blockbuster that everyone sees, you know? It's more so like those films that are more personal to you or that took a little bit to be developed that make me the most thankful.
Yeah. I like that. Chris, what about you, man?
Thank you.
How was your process of putting together this list?
For me, it was like I just wanted to pull together a mixture of movies that either I'm glad exist or are about gratitude of some form. So yeah, that it was honestly pretty easy for me. I just kind of dove into like a movie that is any movie that's like about the feeling of gratitude or like taking inventory for something that, you know, is often something you do take for granted, or is a movie that I am simply glad exists because it does something or says something that is really important or meaningful to me. Yeah, that was about it. It was pretty straightforward on my end.
Love it. I love it. We're gonna have very different approaches to this episode. I think it's gonna leave for a fun time talking about these movies. So before we get into it, of course, let's go over the rules of the show. Once we set a topic or theme and go our separate ways to construct our own 3 film stack. Then after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks 1 film at a time. Then at the end of the show, we'll Sorry, I had a little bit of wine for dinner. Then at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films to make the ultimate decision what quintessential 3 film stack we are checking out at the
Professional
video
even.
store.
Don't drink and podcast, dude.
Come on, I had to.
You did that only for
Thanksgiving.
one
It's a
episode.
Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah, that's
Guys,
true. That's true.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, first of all, disclaimer, viewers, I'm not an alcoholic. Second of all, this Thanksgiving weekend I went up to Napa, and let's just say I went a little Mads Mikkelsen. All right.
Oh, what a
Oh
night.
boy.
I said,
What a
night.
What
a beautiful,
I went
beautiful.
to Francis Ford Coppola's winery, and that was
Oh, I heard good things about Coppola's
it's so
winery.
crazy. It's like
Their
it's
wine is really good.
my dad and I split $100 steak. And let me just
Good
tell you,
steak.
it lived up to the price. I had the
Did it
Sofia
change your
Coppola
life?
wine, and that wine was just as good as her film Lost in Translation, which is safe to say is one of my favorite movies of all time. That wine was amazing. And there's like a little Francis Ford Coppola museum. It was so cool. I saw some of the costumes from Dracula there. There's so many Apocalypse Now things. There was more Apocalypse Now stuff than Godfather stuff, which was weird. Thinking, you know, it's an Italian place. There'd be I don't know. But there was that big champagne glass from One from the Heart, which it's a movie you gotta see. It was really cool. Took a picture of that. Yeah, I'll put some photos in here. I took a few photos. Took a picture of me soy facing at Marlon Brando. Stop! What are you doing, Chris?
Because you were doing like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I wish the audience could see it. I'm just making a dumb face of like.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh god. My dog is staying with me, by the way, guys. So if you're barking, that's just he hates it when I make silly voices. So if you hear a bark, he's just telling me to shut up. So I'm gonna get back to podcasting voice. And I'm up first actually with my first movie that I'm thankful for. I decided to choose my favorite childhood film. My favorite film. This was my favorite film of all time until The Avengers came out. No, the Avengers was my okay. So here I had one favorite film until The Avengers came out. Then Man of Steel came out. Then Ant-Man came out. Then just all those films went lower, and then I just saw more movies. You know, no, it was Avengers, Man of Steel, Big Lebowski. Because then I started realizing that movie was really good. Then Ant-Man. Then anyways, this was my favorite film until 2012. If I had a letterbox from the day I was born, this is probably the film that I've seen more than any movie ever. I've seen this movie so many times. And I'm just thankful that this movie exists because I have a feeling it got me into movies to begin with, you know? It is the 2002 animated classic directed by Chris Wedge, Ice Age. God. It is Ice Age is my first pick on this list.
Fair.
I as a kid was
incorrect,
obsessed.
but fair.
Incorrect that I was thankful for this movie? How am I incorrect? That's a classic.
That's not a classic. Yeah,
it is a classic. Listen, it created the Blue Sky Studio. The whole reason why Disney bought Fox was for that studio. Did you know that?
No, it's not. It's not.
It's true. That's absolutely true. It is a phenomenal film full of such iconic characters. Sid, Manny, Diego, the baby. I mean, there's so much vitriol. There's so much vitriol behind that baby, and you know that wouldn't exist if it weren't for this movie. You know,
that's true. I guess.
I don't think anyone has ever hated a baby more. Maybe Boss Baby, you know, but
no, Boss Baby too. Good movie.
Okay, well, people still hate the baby, but I don't think anyone has.
Fuck them kids, bro.
Disdain for the look of a human infant more than the infant in this movie, and I don't get it. I think the baby's cute. You know. I think
you realize that baby is 6 feet tall?
Yeah, it's cute.
You ever think about that?
Yeah, I love it. It's taller than me. Inbred. Maybe. Honestly, actually, no, I don't. Maybe.
Cavemen?
No, they're cavemen. They don't know what they were thinking. You know. Can we blame them for that? They didn't have that sort of judgment. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Do dogs do that? So, I don't know. I don't know. Brand's like, oh, you're comparing cavemen to dogs, huh? Oh yeah, all you cavemen, come sound off in the comments below and come defend yourselves. Oh wait, you're all dead. Anyways, where are we going with this?
I don't know, man.
I love this movie.
Yeah.
Sid the Sloth is one of my favorite cinematic characters of all time. It made me, kids were dinosaur kids. I was a dinosaur kid for a second. But I was more so a prehistoric mammal kid. I loved what?
Dinosaur kids would bully
better.
mammal kids.
Yeah.
Dinosaur kids for life.
Chris and I would have pushed you into a lake.
Yeah, well, tell that to the dinosaurs, huh? They're now chickens, you know?
The La Brea tar pits.
Prehistoric mammals evolved into badass things still, you know? There's still elephants and tigers and shit around. Well, there's just chickens.
That's a better idea.
Dinosaurs just became fucking chickens, bro. Who cares? Elephants
Chris, that's a better idea. Let's push them in the Brea tar pits instead.
Yeah. Come play where we play, huh?
Welcome to my dojo, the La Brea Tar Pits.
This is Brazil.
Splish splash, I was digging a bat. No, I don't know. I love this movie. Not very many people do, which was a weird. Yeah. I've had many realizations in my life that people hate things that I love, and I think that was a very there's 3 moments where I had this. I remember there was a time where I found out it was in college that everyone hated Ice Age, and I was like, what? Ice Age is great. I remember I watched a bunch of people and they're like, oh yeah, this movie sucks. I was like, what? And then there's another time in high school. This is when I found out that everyone hated Jar Jar Binks because all my friends are going around. They're like, oh, what's your favorite Star Wars character? Like, man, mine's Jar Jar Binks. And they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're so stupid. And I was like, what? And then the third time was when I found out that everyone hated Sonic the Hedgehog and what they would do on DeviantArt with them, with the Sonic characters. And I was like, what the fuck? Those are three foundational moments in my life where I discovered the things I like are pretty disdained by a lot of people, you know? But I'm still thankful this movie exists because I think its humor, I think its creativity made me into the person I am today because I watched it so many times as a kid. So Ice Age is my number one.
Very fair. So, no, yeah. Ice Age is good. Like, I mean, I have not personally seen it in quite a large amount of time, but I mean, I do remember like enjoying myself. I will say though, it's not my favorite of the Ice Age pentology, I believe. But you know, like, hey, to each
top
their own.
3 though. It's top 3, right?
Wait,
it is top 3.
It's not your favorite?
No, number
Dawn
3
of the
is my favorite.
Dinosaurs is his favorite.
Honestly, I agree. To be honest,
yeah.
Dinosaur Kids.
The first 3 are good.
Collision Course is okay.
Once and always.
Collision Course
Kids.
sucks. Continental Drift sucks. The first 3, I like the first 3.
Meltdown is okay.
No, it's not.
Meltdown's good. I remember seeing that in
not.
theaters for my birthday. I invited all my friends. We loved it. Anyways, yeah.
Cool. Who's next?
Well, Brandon.
Yeah,
Ethan,
we don't want to
what
talk
do you
about
wanna
Ice
say
Age.
Oh right, yeah, Brandon. Do you have
wanna
anything
talk
you
about
want to
Ice
add to
Age?
it?
Ice Age is fine. It's like whatever. Like the baby's ugly, but you know. I don't know. When I look at that story, like the best stuff about it is like
It's 3 men and a baby.
it's 3 men and a baby in prehistoric. Well, not prehistoric. Is it prehistoric?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
prehistoric
you can
America.
call anything before like human civilization is prehistoric, you know.
Yeah. So we didn't have writing yet, obviously. We had cave drawings.
Yeah.
But Ice Age is okay. Like I don't hate the movie. I think it's fun. I think the only good one is the third one, frankly. But that's because I like Simon Pegg in that movie.
He's good.
Although, you know, the arc of them trying to become like this found family is very sweet, I will say.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, you know, I feel like, you know, friends as family is a big thing in my life, you know?
I have a feeling if we watch that movie, it's going to be like hoodwinked.
It's going to be, or I think it's going to be like, we're going to see each other in that movie, I think.
Who is who?
I think you're Manny. You're totally Manny, Brandon.
I'm Manny?
Yeah. You know,
Does that mean Chris is
Diego, obviously.
You're Sid?
I'm baby.
You're the ugly baby from
No,
Ice
the
Age.
Stacked podcast is our ugly little baby.
Is our ugly baby.
Yeah.
I like this. I like how this turned out.
Yeah, all right. Someone do fan
How
art of
wholesome.
that, please. Someone Photoshop that, fan art that. I don't know.
Milo, I'm counting on you.
Milo, if you're listening, I hope he is. You know, he liked Ice Age, I think. You know, or maybe I just forced him to like Ice Age. Sound off in the comments below, Milo. Were you just shilling for me? I don't know. Or did you actually like the Ice Age movies? Because we played with our Ice Age toys quite a bit when we were kids. I know Milo was a Manny fan. Milo was Manny and I was Sid when we were growing up. Anyways, Ice Age. All right. Chris, you're up. No, Brandon.
All right.
Sorry, not you.
Fuck.
You,
Never mind.
Brandon.
All right. Well, I have a feeling Ethan's not going to like my first pick.
Let's go.
So
Avatar. Let's go.
We can't
talk
choose
about
Avatar. We can't. Unfortunately. We could talk about Avatar too.
You haven't even seen it.
Yeah, but I'm still thankful for it. But I'm not going to pick that. I'm not going to pick
we
that.
We can
movie.
talk about movies we've never seen. Hence me talking about Tombstone on our...
You still haven't seen it.
I still haven't seen Tombstone, but I talked about this. I'm so stupid. Okay.
All right. So our first film, my first film, is a 2018 film that contains things to be thankful for. It's a very, like, the characters feel thankful in the movie. came out around Thanksgiving time.
No, I know.
It's called Instant Family.
Hey! Yes!
movie.
Yes! 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 Oh, I didn't even think of this. I'm so yes. Yes, Instant Family. Oh, this movie rocks. Fuck
It's
you,
so
Ethan.
good. It's so good, Ethan. You won't give it a chance because you don't like families.
What do you mean? I just talked about I like Family with Ice Age. I love Family. I will give this movie a
It's
chance.
good.
I sat with you two clowns in the theater watching the
Yeah,
whole
but they're
movie.
not real. They're not real. Like this
Who's
family.
not real? What are you talking about? Who's not real?
The found family in Ice Age. It's animated. It's not real.
The found family here isn't really.
No, it's real. They're
Oh,
live
Brandon's
action.
invalidating the animated medium right there, everybody. Just because they're animated doesn't mean their stories aren't real. You heard it here first.
Okay,
folks.
okay. Let's tell the audience what this movie's about, because they probably haven't seen it because they
'cause
wouldn't
they're
know it
smart.
exists. No, because they just don't know. It's a 2018 film about a couple who decides to adopt 3 kids, and essentially they find their family that way, even though there are these hijinks across the way. And I don't think people talk about this enough, but we're missing in that family film department in the modern age. I think if a movie's not an animated movie like by Pixar or Disney or something like that, I think there's no good live action family movies like there were when we were growing up. Like, you guys just watched Cheaper by the Dozen for like the first time in a while, and it actually was really good, right?
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
Right?
I give 4.5. I fucking loved that movie.
Right. And it's like, why don't we have movies like that? And this is I would say the modern example of that, because it's not super like adult, it's got rude humor in it, but I think it's PG-13, but like, it feels like those old fashioned and vintage family movies. And I'm thankful for that because it makes me feel something, and it doesn't feel super melodramatic. It feels very natural and off the cuff. Even if like it doesn't work for some people because they find it campy or cheesy, I'm not naming anybody by any chance, Ethan. But Chris and I were both touched by this movie. Remember, the whole theater was, except for Ethan, the little Grinch sitting in the middle of the theater.
Mr. Scrooge.
I'm about to lose it.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I remember going to this movie with you guys and just like, I think like 2018 was also the same year as Smallfoot, right?
Yeah, it was just a good year for
Man, it was a good year
It was
for
a
like
good-
unexpected
It was a
movies
good
that
year
piss
for
you
you two
off.
falling for bad shit.
Shut up.
Fuck you.
Who gave you rights?
Who gave me rights?
Yeah,
Your capitalistic society gave me rights, you fogey.
I guess that's true. That's true.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a very endearing film. Obviously, not the most sophisticated of films, but I think it treaded the right line for me between like being like so mediocre in its own way, but almost being endearing because it's so grounded in it.
Mhm.
And like it's very I feel like it's also a film that's very honest about what it's trying to do and what kind of film it is. So it's not swinging for anything further than it can reach. So it plays to its strengths really well.
Mhm.
And I think it works really well. What's the name of the person who plays the mom?
Rose Byrne.
Mark Roseburn. I think her and Mark Wahlberg are great together in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And Isabella Moner is great. I wish her career took off like we had hoped, because we saw Dora the next year, I believe,
It was
and
awful.
it wasn't quite as good.
It was awful.
What happened to
But
her? What the hell happened to her?
She just went to do Netflix movies, and most people who go to do Netflix movies never get out of that.
Damn.
Except for like Noah Centineo, apparently.
yeah, look at him go. But yeah, I personally really enjoyed this movie. I think it's simple and sweet and gets to the point, and sometimes that's all I need.
I agree.
Did you guys know that Isabella Moner changed her name?
Yes, I did.
Too.
It's
Merced.
Isabella Merced now. Merced? Is it just
Yeah.
Merced or Merced?
Mercy,
Oh yes, I do
think.
remember. I do remember when that happened.
Okay.
Look at that.
She's gonna be in Madam Web.
Oh, really?
Oh,
well, maybe
there
her
you go.
film career is taking
back.
off.
She's
She's
back.
back.
Yeah, and Madam Web. I wish her the best of luck on that one.
Yeah, good luck with Sony on Marvel projects. Those are rough.
I don't know what you two are talking about with this movie. I listen. I didn't watch any trailers for this. I just knew the cast when we went to go see it, and I was like, "All right, you
Uh-huh.
guys seem very excited for it. Let's go see it." Um, and I do like these kind of movies. I like Cheaper by the Dozen and stuff like that. And it just these like the writing was so horrible in this movie.
It's not.
It felt like such a fake movie. I didn't feel like any of these characters were real people. I say like in my review, I lost I lost everything in the character, so I started paying attention to like the editing and like the score, and that all felt fake too. It was just like I don't know, when you're trying to like emotionally invest me, you gotta have people I can like attach myself to. But this felt like a Netflix movie. It was just ugh.
No, it's one of the good Netflix movies.
I couldn't stand it, and then I just felt all the more like schizophrenic when everyone else was losing their mind in the movie while we were watching it. I don't think I've ever felt more like glitch in the Matrix than seeing this movie.
That's how I felt during Free Guy and Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally the Tim Robinson going, what the hell?
What the
I was
hell?
looking around, like I was like, what is happening? What is happening to our society? Yeah.
We should be championing movies like these.
No, we shouldn't, because these are fake
Because
movies.
because
I don't wanna
if
champion
without these
this.
movies we wouldn't get the dramas and the comedies in theaters. And Chris is leaving. Chris doesn't care.
Yeah, see, no one cares.
No, I was just lighting a candle.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, for the movie.
Got romantic.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about this movie. It hurt me because it made me feel
It hurt you.
It hurt me because mentally, because it made me feel like I was going insane,
Insane.
and I feel like I go insane whenever I talk about this movie, because I'm like, this movie sucked, but everyone in the movie was like, everyone in the theater was just loving it, and
81% of critics liked it.
I know. I'm just like, what is happening?
I guess you're in the minority.
I remember there was this guy in the theater, whenever it was like the group meetings with the parents and they were telling the worst jokes ever, the guy was just like, and I was like,
And that was Brandon. Yeah.
and it was Brandon. He was like,
Yeah.
in the theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it with this movie. I couldn't handle it.
Pathetic.
I
That's all I gotta say.
guess I'm not cut out for my own instant family. Oh well. Guess that's just the life of me, I guess. All right.
I guess.
Let's stop talking about
Chris.
this movie. Chris, what's your thankful movie?
All right.
What do you think before?
All right, I am going to speed through this first one because this movie is so unpopular. It only has 75 reviews on Letterboxd.
What?
Neither of you have seen this movie. Brandon, you want to hear something? Part of the reason I'm picking this is also because I want to tell the story. Brandon, I watched this movie with your parents while you were taking a nap when I went to
Wait, what?
yours for Thanksgiving.
When did this happen?
This was back in November 19th, 2018.
I'm glad that you shared a moment with my parents. That's all I'm happy about. That's crazy.
We watched Patrick Shen's documentary In Pursuit of Silence.
Sounds like what
it
my
is-
parents like.
It's a movie about the impact of noise in our lives, and it tells us it kind of just like treks through this kind of like globe-trotting journey, but like it's all with characters who are kind of like in absolute peace because they've found silence. So yeah, the reason I'm thankful for this, and the reason that this movie comes up as well, in addition to the fact that I wanted to share that story, that I watched a movie with Brandon's parents while he was taking a nap, is that this movie bears a very meaningful message to me. I feel like it's easy. Like, I'm sure all of us, like, and anyone listening would agree that like it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and trying to further your career or whatnot. All that hustle mumbo jumbo. But, every now and then it's important to take a step back and appreciate the little things. And I think this is one of those movies that really does do that for me. Granted, I have not seen this movie or really thought of this movie up until this stack. But I do remember it kind of like being taken aback by its messaging. And simple as that. That's why I want to throw this out there, especially because I know I'm never going to talk about this movie. So there you go.
My parents are gonna
Read them in a
like-
week, boys.
They've got more choices for you, Chris. If you need some more thankful movies, like food
I'm sure there are.
documentaries.
Brandon, can you call your dad right now and ask him about this movie?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, call him.
Okay, I don't know if he'll pick
Oh
up.
boy.
Hold on.
I think I
I gotta
absolutely watched
hear
it with
his
one of
take
your
on it.
parents. I don't know if if it was your dad or your mom, or if they were both there.
It sounds
I just
like
remember
something
someone
both
was
of
in the
them
room.
watch. Both of them would watch it. All right, hold on. Let's see if he's gonna.
Put on speaker. What are you doing? We're on a podcast. We're live.
Hello.
Hey, Dad.
What's up?
Hey, so we're recording a podcast right now for Stacked, and Chris wants to know your opinions on a certain movie.
Okay.
Chris, what was the movie again?
In Pursuit of Silence.
In Pursuit of Silence. Do you remember that movie?
Not off the top of my head.
No, he doesn't. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank
There
you
you
for
go.
your help, Dad. Love you.
Well, there you go.
That was a failure live
that
on the
special
podcast.
moment. I just want to let you know that special moment you had with Brand's parents. They don't remember it at all.
That is, you know,
The call was brought
as is the way.
brought to you by our sponsor,
All right, there's my first pick. boys.
Established
That's fair
Titles.
enough.
Just
All
kidding.
right.
Okay,
Hey, I like
go ahead.
silence just as much as the next guy, but not when recording a podcast. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
So let's go on to the second round here. Unless you have something to say, Brandon. Do you have anything to say about Pursuit of Silence?
I've never heard of this movie in my life. I don't even remember
Me
the
neither.
event this happened. How
Yeah.
this happened.
You were taking a nap anyways. While
I was
watching it,
taking
so-
a nap. I don't know.
Yeah. You think your nap was better than that movie? Do you think it was
Probably.
worth it in the end?
Just kidding. I
You
don't
missed
know.
out on the special moment. You know, your parents might have forgot, but you could have remembered. Anyway.
I would have become a monk if I watched that movie.
What if there was an alternate universe where you did and that like changed you? All right, let's get in the second round here. The next movie I'm thankful for is I'm gonna pick a movie that sort of like makes me thankful for how my palate has grown and how my way of speaking about the cinematic medium has grown. I feel like this was one of the first movies where I truly grasped I feel like it was one of the first movies that truly challenged me in a way that I really enjoyed. In a way that made me try to grapple it and really put an effort into, you know, create something meaningful and study the philosophy behind it. And just in turn, because that makes me thankful just for my degree in film, you know. I'm picking one of my favorite movies of all time now. It's Apisha Pong, where Setchakul Uncle Boonmi, who can recall his past lives.
Classic.
It's a classic.
There you go.
You
Yeah.
know, we watched.
That's a film
this-
studies classic.
That's a film studies classic. I watched it with you guys.
Ethan, we had the presentation together.
We did the presentation. Look, I'm gonna throw up the picture of Brandon holding up the movie when we watched it at your and Chris's place.
With
was
the
on his-
with the candy necklace.
You had the candy necklace because we were talking about Gilles Deleuze, his sort of theories about time. You know, time being a circle and how time can overlap on each other. You know, and how that's reflected in the cinematic medium through, you know, editing theory and how you can edit different pieces in time together. And you can see that through, you know, this story of reincarnation where Uncle Boonmi is able to bounce back between multiple lives he once lived and will live, you know, as him, his the cow, the catfish, the human, you know. This movie just also, a lot of people were bored with this movie when we saw it in our class, you know. I know a couple of our students fell asleep while we were watching it, but I was floored the whole time. I have never seen a director able to capture like the gravitas of atmosphere of just silent atmosphere, like Apishapong or Asetukul, where he's able to sound mix his movies. Because he does this in Memoria as well, which is one of my favorite movies of this year, where it's just
good.
like you are able to take in. I just feel like the gravity of the whole world through sound. You know, you're able to feel the globe rotating through sound in his movies. You know, he's he's just the master of, you know, most of his shots in his movies are, you know, wide shots and they're long takes, and he really takes his time with his stories, his characters, exploring these complex themes, you know, of you know, temporality of humans, of film, of just life itself, and, you know, the cycles. And he goes a lot into, you know, a lot of, you know, Buddhist theory in this movie, you know. And I'm just thankful that this movie exists, because this was like, you know, this was my third eye movie, if you think about it. You know, this was the one where I watched a lot of movies, you know, and you know, film history and, you know, film aesthetics, you know, where I was like, I didn't feel challenged by these movies, you know. It was like French New Wave, whatever, you know. But once we got into Fury's class and she showed us this one, this was the one where I was like, okay.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, this was the one where I was like, okay, I'm fucking into it now, you know. I was like,
My two were Vagabond and Cachet.
I liked Cachet, but it wasn't like a movie that, I don't know. I didn't feel challenged by it, you know, and I didn't feel motivated to break down that movie. I wasn't really that big of a fan of Vagabond. I liked it, but
Neither was I, but it opened my eyes.
I felt truly challenged in a positive way with Uncle Boon Me, and I was lucky enough to see it in theaters at the Frida Cinema, and that was just phenomenal. I feel like, you know, Apishapong Weerasethakul, his movies are like meant to be seen on a big screen, hence why Memoria is never going to come. It's only just going to be in theaters for the rest of the time, which makes me so mad too, because I want that.
I can't believe I predicted that movie.
I know, I can't believe.
Like, I was like, dude, I think I know where this movie's going. And then I was right. I was like, what the
hell? But yeah, it's I just get so jazzed when I think about that movie and break down that movie and the philosophy behind it all. And I'm thankful that I have the ability to do that, because I think a lot of times these days, you know, we talk a lot about like what's going on with movies these days, you know, and like
the pacing
and how people receive movies. And I'm thankful that you know, I, as well as we can, have the education to talk about movies like this. And when I think about that concept, I think about this movie. So that's why I chose it. What do you guys think about this? We all saw it together. Chris, what about you?
I feel like of the bunch. Well, actually, technically, Brandon's the least warm on it because you gave it a 3. I gave it a 3.5. But I will say, like, I like over the years, like I've noticed, like, of the many movies that we went throughout film studies, this one I don't think has necessarily stuck with me in terms of like creating a larger meaning or anything, or you know, creating or, you know, eliciting a extremely strong emotion out of me. But what it did for me very much was kind of give me such a great springboard for me to understand how tone works in film. Because I think of the many things one could say about this film, my big takeaway is, like you said, Ethan, like the director's ability to manipulate images and sound in order to elicit a feeling of almost this kind of sublimity, which I find really interesting, because I feel like among like in the world of film, that's one of the harder emotions to convey because it's such a grand, unknowable feeling. And yeah, like you said, the director, like I'm calling him the director because I'm awful at pronouncing his name.
Just call him Joe, because that's what the Westerners call him.
Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yo, mama!
No, it's not. That's actually it. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Like I have a lot of admiration for this film, but I wouldn't necessarily say this is a personal favorite of mine. But I'm glad it is yours, Ethan, because yeah, this movie deserves a spot somewhere.
I feel like we all had that film, you know, That one film in our, in our Fury class that we all just really dug our teeth into. And this one was mine, Brandon, we did a presentation on this together. Like, well,
Yeah.
What
For
this
me,
movie mean to you?
I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of the movie. I prefer Memoria, I'd say. Not just because I figured it out, but because I think I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool.
Well,
you know what I
we
mean?
did kind of see this in a theater. We saw it in a screening room, but it's not like
Well,
a theater. I know what you
it's
mean.
different. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
watching a movie with like an audience who is like a stranger to you versus like our class, which is like we knew all those people.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really interesting to see the director break down concepts of memory and time and loss and grief.
Yeah.
I thought it was like extremely beautiful. Yeah, is it the most straightforward movie in terms of like the story it's telling? No, but I do think if I revisited it at some point, that it would definitely be higher up on my list. Meaning I would give it a higher rating because I think what it said, it was a very introductory movie, but what it's saying is really meaningful.
Yeah.
I think I had awoken earlier to the idea, but as the class went on, I felt myself more challenged by the films that we were watching. We watched Gummo around the same time, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We're not going to talk about that, but
No.
I hope we're not talking about that movie. Unless. But yeah, I agree with you in why you said it is why a movie you're thankful for.
Alrighty. Well, Brandon, let's take us in your second one, shall we?
All right. My second film is, let's go with the 1999 film by Kevin Smith. I'm picking Dogma.
Thankful for Dogma. All right.
Here's my reasoning, right? Because the film on its surface is not one of my favorite films. I really love it, but it's a film you cannot find today. If you're trying to look online for a copy of Dogma, you're not going to find it because if you do find it, it'll be like $200. And that's because
this poster's funny as hell.
Yeah, it's got Matt Damon. It's got Ben Affleck in it. And it's about these angels or like devils who come to Earth essentially and like take out evildoers because and it's a sacrilegious as hell movie. And I think that's why I'm thankful for it. Not because I'm not religious, but because the art form can do something like that, can satire something so pure and like, that the idea that a film could have that voice and tone and get away with it by also presenting a fairly competent story. I'm not the biggest fan of Kevin Smith, but it is very interesting and highbrow how he tackles these concepts. And I'm thankful for it because I actually was able to see it. It's a film that's so hard to see, so hard to find, but also a film that I really enjoy. So I don't know. I think Ethan, you might have seen this.
I've seen this movie, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like the best film I've ever seen or a film that, I'm thankful because I've watched this 100 times and this is why I'm into movies. But it's a movie that I'm thankful for just because it exists.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on Kevin Smith and he's just
movies?
And this movie.
Or
I think this movie's
person?
good. I think this movie's good. I don't think it's great. I think I'll always hold Clerks as one of my favorite movies just because I think that's just, say what you will about Kevin Smith. I think he knows how to work with a low budget.
I agree.
That's fair.
And that's something really admirable about him. I just think he just has a hard time controlling himself when it comes to writing and directing sometimes, just especially as his career went on, and you can kind of start to see it here. I just think he's not real. I don't think he's great at directing actors sometimes, which I think you could really see with characters like Linda Florentino's character. I didn't she's the main character, but I don't really know what she was doing in this movie. I don't know. It was kind of weird. And Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are good because, it's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. But, the rest of the characters in the background aren't, I don't know, they're not the best. And, I noticed something in the film that, as the movie goes on, sort of the satire, I feel like it's more and more intelligent as the story goes on. But once it starts, I feel like it's a bit shallow, if that makes any sense.
No, I agree.
But it is interesting. Yeah, you don't really see. I think you do see commentaries like this or satires, uh, like this these days. I just don't think you see them this explicit. If that makes
It's harder for religious, I think, because religious film, because I don't think they really release them. They'll heavily censor.
I guess that's true. But I mean, you look at films like, I don't know, like not The Last Temptation. Is that Scorsese? Last Temptation? I always get
Last Temptation,
yeah,
but that's not a satire. It's not a satire.
That's not satire, but I still think it's a criticism of the iconography. It's not a satire, but I truly think it's a movie that sort of tackles the corruption behind how people have retold this story and how it's become something like this, which I think Kevin Smith takes a bit more. I'm not saying crude in a bad way, but it's more crude and in a funny way, because there's a big poo demon in this movie, which I'll be is a funny scene in the movie. I think it's great, the poo demon.
So would you describe it as not funny, haha, funny, weird?
I'd say funny like a clown.
Like funny like a clown.
Funny how?
Interesting. Funny how?
Funny how? No, I think this movie is. I think it's funnier and funnier as it goes on. It just starts a little rough, I think, but I think this movie's good. It is certainly one of the better Kevin Smith movies I've seen. I think it's.
I agree.
I think it might be. It's like this one, Chasing Amy, and Clerks are my favorites. I would say.
Screw Clerks.
Okay, well, all right. Chris, what do you have you ever heard Dogma? No.
Nope. I've only seen one Kevin James film.
Kevin James?
Kevin Smith.
That's not true, Chris. I know you've seen many Kevin James films.
I have seen many Kevin James films.
Here comes.
I've only seen one Kevin Smith film, and it's Tusk. So I don't know much about this guy.
That's you're starting a low bar. It only gets better.
I'm sure.
It only gets better from Tusk.
But Ethan, post the crying selfie right now.
I'm not only will I post one, I will post many.
But yeah, I don't know. Hearing you guys describe this movie makes this movie sound absolutely insane. There's a poo demon.
Yes.
But
Chris, you would love this movie, Chris. I'm pretty sure.
Honestly, I will say, like, just hearing it, I'm like, this could be disastrous or this could be really great. So we'll see. But it is an interesting idea, and thumbs up from me.
There you go. Alrighty. Chris, let's go into your second one, shall we?
All right. I'm going to make this one fast.
Another
because we've talked about this movie before. Yep, another quickie. I'm picking Soul.
Oh, yeah.
You probably saw this one coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this movie before. I'm not gonna retread anything too much. The reason that I'm so grateful for this movie though is because this movie came to me at a time in my life where I really needed the message that it conveyed, about like soaking up the little things and not, learning to take a step back. Kind of like I said about In Pursuit of Silence earlier, like movies that remind me to be thankful for the little things and just take a step back from the craziness and hecticness of the world is something that I find really valuable. And Soul for me is the movie that makes me that turns me into a complete mess. I have not seen this movie since it came out because it I've mentioned this before, but when I watched the movie, I had to pause it because I couldn't stop crying. And I had to bury my face into a pillow on the couch because of it. But yeah, it had a big effect on me, and I am thankful that this movie exists because it gave me something that I needed to hear at the time. So yeah, there you go. Simple as that. I know there's a lot of there are reservations on this movie, and there's definite room for improvement in many areas. I actually now that I think about it, in my head, the second act pretty much doesn't exist in my head. because the third and first acts are so strong. But I know that if I went back to that movie, that second act is probably going to drag. But
Yes.
the strengths that I feel, especially from that final act, is so strong and overwhelmingly emotional for me that I personally can overlook that second act. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. You guys want to add anything to this conversation? We've talked about this movie a ton. I feel like this is probably one of the last times I'm ever going to mention this movie.
Yeah, we've talked about this movie so many times. Just go to I think our most poignant conversation is our best of 2020 episode.
Yes.
So if you want to hear us go into depth in Soul, go check that out. But I'm not gonna invalidate your love, your thankfulness, because I know this movie does mean a lot to you, Chris. I think we all have that one movie that's sort of, our existential wake up call,
yeah.
or our sort of it's sort of like a wake up slap, I should say, because it's more of a tough love wake up call, because you're put through a lot. For me, it's End of Evangelion. For Brandon, what about you, Brandon? What's your
what's the movie that breaks you, Brandon?
What movie broke you?
Breaks me like what?
In an existential
way. Like emotionally, like makes you just like,
like I just gotta get out and live,
Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
What?
Oh, what a we should triple watch that one day.
I watched it with Ethan and he loved it. Just kidding. You guys are laughing at the movie that broke me.
It's I wasn't expecting it. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't expecting it. But
yeah.
Hey, no, here I'm gonna support you on that claim, because the last scene of that movie is pretty good.
Yeah.
And that is very much in the vein of Soul and End of Evangelion, I prematurely jumped to the old man baby going and flexing in the mirror going
yeah.
That I forgot about the ending. And
yeah.
You know what? I don't doubt it. That's a good one. But Soul, yeah, that was a movie that really needed to come out in December of 2020. We were all locked away for the winter. That's when we were so unsure. That was like, we were 9 months into the pandemic. We were just like, when's this gonna fucking end? What am I gonna do with my life? And that
is it ever gonna end?
And we were so focused on what is happening to the world right now. What is it? Our problems were so big that we forgot to focus on the small stuff. I just, the second act just I still think it's a good movie. It just kind of shoots itself in the foot with that second act. It didn't have to do that. I just feel like they could have written that to just be a bit more, I would say a bit more appropriate, but
respectful.
Respectful.
I think there's one scene that's good in the second act.
I don't even remember. I've only seen the movie once.
It's when Joe is on the shoulders of 22 and talking to his mom through 22.
Fuck. I don't remember this movie that well.
Wow.
What?
Okay. Wow. This is crazy that you
Chris
picked
was
it.
too busy crying. He's like, this movie means it's my Bible. It means everything. Huh?
Maybe he just likes it because he hasn't watched it forever. No, it's great though. I mean, I do think there's a lot of good here. I think what it says about living your life, especially in the time that we went through during COVID, is really great, especially in contrast to other films released at the time. May I remind the class of Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh my god,
movies back to back. I remember.
I think I watched that earlier in the night, the day before, and I was so pissed.
Yeah, you're like, oh, the first one was so good, and then the second one's just so trash. But Soul reminds you, wow, this movie is philosophical and important, and I do really like it. I just think, like Ethan, it's got issues.
Yeah. But it makes so much sense that you'd put this on your list. That is a cornerstone Chris philosophy movie. And totally.
Yeah.
All right. let's get into this
Final round, baby.
Final round here. I am gonna go with. Okay, so I went with the movie that sort of got me into movies, that I loved. Then I went with the movie that sort of opened my mind. I kind of wanted to do the movie that I'm thankful for because it is the first movie I wrote about. It is the first movie that I wrote an analysis for, a review for. And without writing this, I don't think I would be where I am. I think Brandon knows what movie this is. It is the 2013 classic Thor: The Dark World is my last film in the stack. He's logged off. He's gone. Yeah, Chris is gone too. I think I would like to read my review for Thor: The Dark World. This is the first.
Oh no!
This is the
this
first
is always.
review.
Ethan's early reviews are always so funny.
I wrote this on November 8th, 2013. I was in 8th grade. I think this movie's bad, but when I saw it, I gave it 4 stars. And I said, here's my review. Wow, what a great movie. This movie had a great mix of action, drama, and comedy. I really loved Loki in this movie. I think Loki was the best in this movie, then Thor, and the Avengers. I also liked Heimdall and Curse in this movie. They were such badasses. Parentheses, I hear custom Lego big figure. If anyone didn't know, I used to customize Lego minifigures when I was in 8th grade, and I really wanted to make one of Curse, that character that nobody knows in Thor: The Dark World. He
killed Frigga's
He killed Frigga's mom, and yeah, he was like
Frigga, not Frigga's mom. Frigga is the mom.
Thor's mom, Frigga. The Frigga. And then it ends with, this movie brings more to the Thor world than the first movie, and I think all of you should check it out. That was my first review of a movie ever.
I think Marvel saw that and said, let's put it in Endgame.
Yeah, they're like, we're doing this for you, dude. I've seen this movie plenty more times after, and I've realized that it is probably the worst MCU movie. I think it is I don't think it's a great movie at all. It almost gave Brandon a heart attack when we.
Yeah, it did. Also, I ate 25 tacos, which
Brandon ate 25 tacos, and his heart stopped while we were watching Thor: The Dark World. I am concerned for this man's liver, and but
I'm alive. Okay,
he's alive for now. As long as but it still sounds like he loves those Albert tacos. So we'll see. Good thing we're gonna break at episode 100. We can give Brandon. Just kidding. Yeah, I just gotta say, even though it's not the best movie, I remember I was living in my aunt's house, making Lego minifigures in the basement. I had a blog on Flickr. Do you guys remember Flickr?
Oh my God, Flickr.
I was
Visco.
Dude, I was huge on Flickr. I had around like 7,000 followers on Flickr. I made custom Lego figures. They all unfollowed me now. I don't have like any followers then, but in my prime, like in I think 2017, I had around like 7,000 followers. I don't know, something like that. I'd take acrylic paints and I'd paint Lego minifigures and I'd review movies, and that's where I was like, I like reviewing movies. Dad, I'm gonna go into film studies so I can like review movies for a living, And now, la-di-da-di-da, I have a podcast, talk about movies. And if it weren't for Thor: The Dark World, don't think I'd be here. So that's why I'm choosing Thor: The Dark World as my last movie I'm thankful for. So
weird.
Yeah, pretty weird, huh?
Yeah, it's a weird choice.
Does anybody? Do you guys remember the first movie you ever wrote about?
Probably Dark Knight, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my guess.
My first movie that I ever wrote a review on was in my old diary. I used to try to do diary entries. I'm not very good at it. It was Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey with 48 frames per second. I remember writing pluses and minuses in my notebook and just like being like, this is good, this is bad, stuff like that. And I don't really love that movie. It's fine. I just got it on Blu-ray because it was $6 with the whole Hobbit trilogy. But I could see how something like that would be meaningful. After that, I started doing more consistent reviews when I got the job at the movie theater. If you guys followed me um, before Chapman, you would know that I posted reviews on my Instagram.
Yes, I remember that.
And people would love me for that. I was known as the movie guy at my work, at my high school, everywhere I went. People would be like, "What's your review of this movie? Should I go see it?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." And 90% of the time they'd be like, "Yeah, that was great. You were right." And then the other 10% of the time they're like, "What the hell were you thinking?" Like that. I remember when Swiss Army Man came out, I was like the only person that liked that in my hometown, I swear.
Yeah.
It's so great. But yeah.
We love that. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's not talk about Thor 2.
That's fine. We don't have to talk about it. I chose.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I got absolutely nothing to say. The only thing I can think of is Loki's good in this movie, and that one scene where Captain America shows up is a little funny.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
I agree with that.
That's about it.
that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Thor.
I didn't really expect to go in depth on Thor: The Dark World. I don't think we'll ever talk about this movie. But it's the first movie I ever wrote about.
Of course.
So, yeah. All right,
All right.
Brandon, what's your last one?
Brandini.
I was going to talk about Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but
Are you serious?
instead I'm going to talk about, well, it was my first Criterion.
Are you gonna choose it?
I don't know.
Do it.
Man.
Do it.
Yeah, fine. I'll do it.
Wait, what's the other one you were gonna choose?
I was going to choose a Doctor Who movie.
All right, no, Benjamin Button. Let's talk about that.
Oh.
I'd rather talk about that.
Well, the Doctor Who movie. Just kidding. So Benjamin Button is a film that I watched when I was really young, probably 8 or 9, and but at that time I wasn't really into movies. You know what I mean? It was around the time that I watched Avatar. But I wasn't invigorated by it yet. But I remember sitting down, and I think it was on the old HBO, where they had 8 channels and you could scroll through them. And I remember just plopping it down on HBO one day and being like, well, this is an interesting idea for a movie. And I just remember being taken by it. And I've told Ethan about this because we watched it literally, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But movies that are meaningful to me are movies that show somebody's life from their beginnings to their humble beginnings to their saddest end. And it's sad, but it's so very human to see somebody's life fold out over 2.5 hours, even if it seems silly in the way that the CGI depicts them in their early old age, I suppose.
Early old age.
I mean,
Way to put it.
Yeah, and I love the ending of this movie and what it has to say. Yeah, it's a little campy, but it was one of the first Blu-rays I ever owned, one of the first Criterions I ever owned. And I just remember being especially affected by it. And honestly, it is probably where my love affair with David Fincher started. He's one of my favorite directors, and I think this is one of the reasons why. So yeah, Chris, I don't think you've seen it, but Ethan, I know you have.
I have seen it.
You have?
I have.
Yeah,
Oh,
you talk.
I didn't
about
know
that.
that.
Go for it, dude.
Okay. I have not. I will say though, I have not seen this movie basically since it came out. But yeah, Curious Case of Benjamin Button. From what I do remember, why am I out of focus in the camera? Never mind, I'm back.
We're not going to see you.
Anyway, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I remember this movie, like you, Ethan. When I first heard of it or saw it, I was like, "This is such a dumb idea. This guy ages backwards. It's so gross." I remember that shot of him as a baby. You know what I mean? Outside
when
that thing.
Mahershala Ali almost steps on him.
Yeah, and it's just like
No, he does step on him.
just an abomination basket case. But surprisingly, the movie is very, very endearing. I think for me personally, when I think back on this movie, I remember it being very long, which it is because 166 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I looking from what I do remember, it does feel like a pretty dense movie and one that I feel like does for me meander a little bit. There are moments where I feel like they could have like tightened up a bit, or like I don't know, maybe skipped over a couple of things. But I will say like the ending is so overwhelmingly emotional
Oh, yeah.
because given the context of this person's entire livelihood and seeing like them struggle and go through it and also just simply navigate the existing difficulties of a normal life already, there's something very like humanistic about that. You know what I mean? Like there's something about these kinds of movies where it's kind of like a glimpse into a human being's life that can be very boring for some, but if done well, can really enworlden you into into a film that is really just about another human. And it's kind of like, we always say film is the art of empathy. And I feel like this is a pretty cool, great example of that because, yeah, it's literally just another human who, yes, is in a bit of a unusual situation.
A curious case.
A curious case, one might say. But more than anything, like, it's a movie about a human. And there's something very, I think, very meaningful about the simplicity of that. Yeah, there you go.
It's the people who touched
Ethan.
him that matter too, you know.
Yeah. I avoided this movie for a while just because I thought it looked so silly. I don't know. It is such a weird concept. Like who fucking thought of this? Like
F. Scott Fitzgerald, bro.
Yeah, what a klutz, that dude. What has he ever done? I don't know. It's such a cool movie about just the process of living. And it's a movie, one thing that I was in a rough patch this summer, and one of the many things my mom told me was just like, being alive is like part of the human condition is grappling grief and learning to just live with grief. It's something we're going to face no matter what throughout our lives because we are things that last. And things last. Just things last, Nothing is forever. The sun will last, the planet will last. We don't know if time is forever. That might last too. We don't know. Things last. Everything lasts. So the human condition is learning to grapple with things that last, and that's what this movie is about because it's about a man who, because he lives life in a different way than everyone else, is able to take a different perspective on, the process of life and living. And it can be a bit Forrest Gumpy in the movie up until the very end, where it's just like, oh, this guy's, he's going through World War II, now he's doing this, now he's doing that,
But the last half hour is...
But the last half hour where you're really coming to the end of this guy's life, and the last scene where it's just like, he's just describing what people in his life did. This is the guy that did this.
Yeah.
And we're just, at the end of our days, we're going to be defined as like the guy that did this, We don't know what that is yet, maybe, We might just be the three guys that record Stacked Podcast. I certainly hope we go on to greater heights than, 40 views a week, but we'll see, but that might just be it. And that's something we'll just have to be okay with, and that's life. And it's a really beautiful way to end a movie that's about, a life epic like that,
Mm-hmm. That's why I love it. I'm thankful for it because I wouldn't say it got me into film, but I think it is incredibly meaningful in what it says about the standard human experience.
Alrighty. Well,
there we
glad
go.
We talked about it. Chris, let's wrap this up with your last
All right, boys.
movie.
This was a movie I've wanted to talk about for a while, and this felt like the right time. Maybe not for a while, but like for a fair amount of time. This is a movie that Ethan, you came with me to go see. Brandon, I think you were working the night that this movie was playing, so I don't think you were able to come. We saw this in a small theater in Whittier.
Oh yeah.
I'm picking Kiwi Chow's 2021 documentary
Oh.
Revolution of Our Times. Now,
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't know, Revolution of Our Times is a documentary directed by Kiwi Chow, as I just said, that kind of the best way I can describe this documentary is that it chronicles the on the ground story of what happened in Hong Kong in 2019. Now, I've talked at length about Hong Kong on this podcast before, and yeah, of the many great films that have been made about Hong Kong, whether that be fiction or documentary, I think Revolution of Our Times is probably the most important of the bunch because I think it provides, at least in my eyes, a very transparent account of what transpired in those months and a very like sobering reminder of what is going on around the world. It's I think it's easy to be cushiony and see how and be cushioned in our lives, but sometimes looking back at and seeing where seeing the kinds of things that like the essential livelihood things that people still have to fight for in the world is a really important reminder, and that's a big part of why I'm thankful for this movie because on top of being a very poignant reminder, it's also a movie I'm thankful for because it provides accountability, which is something that I'm not going to say too much more, but is something that I think we need a bit more of in the world. I'll just say that. Revolutionary Times is a very emotional movie as well. It's at least especially for me being from there, but even Ethan, I saw you getting a little emotional, especially with certain scene with a certain Uncle Chan.
A certain Uncle Chan, one of many.
One of many Uncle
one
Chans.
of many Uncle Chans out there. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say about this movie? There's not much for me to say. It's a very transparent documentary. It's literally just what happened in 2019. There you go.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for having the opportunity to go see this with you, because what an emotional theater that was. God damn.
Yeah, dude.
By the end, everyone was standing up. They were singing the anthem, right? Hong Kong.
The not the unofficial the band anthem.
Yeah, but that was just a crazy thing. I could hear people, just losing it in the back, and it was a bunch of old people, because it's old people who have come here that now, they're seeing their home become this, and they're just hoping, for a solution for this to end, and for their people to have their way. And I could sense that anguish in them, while we were watching that movie, and it was a very powerful experience. And this movie is really good too, because you showed us the Joshua documentary, and that was more about a person in a group. But this I feel like was focused more on the movement itself. You were really placed on the ground during these protests. There was they just took iPhone footage of we saw people die in this movie,
you see real people die in this movie.
We saw real people die in this movie from their iPhones. We see that whole saga of them locking themselves up in the college, and just that big that huge standoff, and them trying to escape, and just the lives that were lost just in doing that and navigating the sewers. Like, some people haven't been found, because they had to crawl through they did like some Shawshank Redemption stuff where they were just crawling through this this tube like the size of your body. And it's just such a crazy thing that it's the power of cinema, because in countries where journalism is very heavily censored, and media, news media is very heavily censored, we don't get this stuff in the West. But you can't censor an independent editor and someone with a camera. You can film stuff, send it to someone, they can edit it, and then send it out to somebody else. And that's the power of cinema, and how it can really show what's happening in the world, and to people who have no idea what's going on. And things where like news media outlets really can't, because they're funded by people, they're controlled by a government. It's really up to the independent artists to really show what's going on, and for that I was just like, that blew me away. What a great documentary, so good. Brandon,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
you gotta see it
Brandon,
somehow. I don't know.
yeah, if this, I don't know if or when this movie is gonna become available, because there's a lot of legal things loopholes it has to jump through. But hopefully one day I'll get to show you this movie.
Well, it's not like I didn't want to. I just remembered like
No, I think you
trying to-
didn't. You were like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't want to
I'm
watch
good.
this. No,
You're like, no, I'm gonna stay home.
no. I did want to watch it. It just it just so happened that I had work that weekend,
Yeah.
and it was a little harder for me to get up there. But yeah, this is I'm very thankful for it existing because of what it's saying about speaking against governments of power that are in like high enough power to like suppress voices. And now I think we're lucky to live in a westernized society that, although we do, I think, suppress voices in some regards, I think they're able to get out, whereas it feels more suffocated and pushed down in a place like Hong Kong, where it's literally the overbearing father figure, like standing above you at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
even
yeah,
if it
totally.
even if it isn't the father, it's like a stepfather.
Yeah.
So
it's a complex situation. But yeah, I'm very glad to hear that. Like, even Brandon, like, even though you haven't seen this movie yourself, like, you have appreciation for it, and I know both of you are like at least to some extent decently well educated about what's going on in Hong Kong.
Yeah,
So,
we chatted
yeah,
about it
means a lot.
freshman year,
And
even.
yeah, anyone out there listening who might want to ever chat about Hong Kong stuff or anything like that, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy talking about my home. I love my home.
Send it to me. Send the doc to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Kiwi, if you're listening, we love it, and send it to Brandon.
And then I'll never go to Hong Kong or China because they'll kill me. But it's fine.
That's true. They have wanted posters of Brandon out on, there's
The streets of Hong Kong.
big banners of him on Tiananmen Square.
No, it's the
right next to the Mao poster.
No, it's the
I call it a poster.
It's the picture of from the set that Ethan or somebody production designed. Have you seen this man? And it's like a little stuffed animal that looks like me. You remember that, Chris? I think it was on one of Tori's sets.
Oh yeah, there was like a doll on a period piece. Yeah, on a period piece.
Yeah,
on her IP. Yeah,
that's the photo that's everywhere, and they're gonna know it's me. Yeah. Anyway,
but
good choice.
That's my last pick, guys, and I think that rounds it out.
Yeah, and that is look at that! Look at all these. This is an eclectic stack, but I love that because it represents all three of us, and our eclectic relationship with film. This is gonna be a weird way to figure out the final stack, but let's just go down our movies. I'll start. I picked Ice Age, Uncle Boonmee, and Thor: The Dark World. Brandon, what'd you pick?
I did Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Dogma, and Instant Family.
Chris.
And I did In Pursuit of Silence, Soul, and Revolution of Our Times. This might be one of our most eclectic ones.
Here's my pitch.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we each choose one of our movies that we're most thankful for, and then we put it in the stack. Because I don't think it's fair to pick, hey, I'm most thankful for Thor: The Dark World. No, we're not. We're not going to do that.
I'm going to pick that one. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
All right.
Which ones of your guys' ones would you pick?
Fuck. I think I'll pick Ice Age because that's the one that started it all for me.
Okay. Fair.
And I feel like I can use Uncle Boonmee again for something else.
Yeah. Brandon?
Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Okay.
I know it's a meme, but also like it's great. So
yeah, I think because the Benjamin Button does bear that kind of existential, kind of vibe to it, especially at the end there. I am gonna forego Soul and put in Revolution of Our Times Because I feel like that's a different kind of thankfulness that I think is worth acknowledging.
Oh yeah.
And
it's three
Soul-
different
and Soul will be back.
three different genres, guys.
Escapes
And
to
also
live
three
another day. Yeah, 3 different genres, 3 different tones, you know, 3 different mediums. We have animation, narrative feature, and then documentary. It's pretty cool, huh?
Uh-huh.
And 3 different
I think we do it in that
reasons for
order.
thankfulness. Yeah, you want to end with Revolution? I think, yeah.
Because it'll probably.
I don't know if
stick
you
with
could watch a movie after that movie.
Exactly, but also it's chronological, and you're
True,
kind of
yeah.
working your way. Like if you were a child, you start with that one. You start with whatever Ethan chooses. Yeah. Then you move on. Then you go on to something that's more important.
This is the weirdest feature ever.
And then you end with the most important because it impacts our
Thankful.
reality.
All right, let's run it down. I love it.
Okay, let's run it down. This is Stacks 2022, our official movies we're thankful for final stack for episode 96. This is our 96th final stack, starting with the one of the most iconic animated films of all time. It changed the genre, the medium. It changed the way we tell stories. It changed the way I loved movies. I don't even know my life without this movie. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what I was like before this movie because it's always been with me. You know, movies are my blood, and Ice Age is in my blood. You know, and that's why I'm picking Ice Age as the movie that started it all. So that's our first pick, Ice Age. Brandon, what's our second?
Our second film is Curious Case of Benjamin Button by David Fincher, a lovely depiction of life from a different perspective as a man ages backwards, and I think a beautiful statement as to what's so meaningful about human life and how it lasts.
Boom. Chris, let's wrap this up.
And our final film, and our last film, I should say, is Kiwi Chow's 2021 documentary, Revolution of Our Times, an incredibly powerful and transparent account of what transpired in Hong Kong in the year of 2019. Very socially important film, and definitely worth checking out.
All right. Look at that. Look at this, guys. This is a great out of the box list. I'm really proud of us on this one. You know, I'm glad none of us were like, you know, oh, Star Wars, you know, this movie got me into movies, Star Wars, you know, or like stuff like that, you know. We chose some really, I can tell all these movies are very personal to us, you know.
Except Dogma.
And Thor 2.
No,
that's personal in a way.
That's personal to me because I wrote
true.
about it. But yeah, except for maybe in Instant Family, and maybe Benjamin Button. Brandon, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. No, but I can see each and every one of us in this stack, which is nice, you know. So well done, boys, representing yourselves in out of the box ways for the stack, and I hope people had a good time listening to this episode. I'd like to thank our sponsor, MeUndies. No, we don't have any sponsors.
We
I
don't
wish
have
had a
any
sponsor,
sponsors.
though. That'd
We
be
should
cool.
get one. That would be
We should
nice.
get
Bring
one.
in some extra income.
Maybe
Other than the 5 cents you get.
I'll see if Lavoy or Kasori will sponsor.
Oh,
my
is that
podcast.
ethical?
What do you mean? Is that ethical?
Sponsored by Knott's Berry Farm and
It's
Lavoie Vacuum.
Knott's. Yeah. Let's see if Knott's and Kasori can sponsor our podcast. Come on, you moved up in the ranks now. Try to convince me. Like you know what Knott's really needs to get into.
Movies.
Sponsorships. Podcast, to be more specific. That's where it's all about. That's where the money is, guys. Come on.
I suppose. Yeah.
But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed listening, and I hope you all took this episode to reflect on what movies you're thankful for, because movies are fucking cool, and movies can help you. Movies just like, you know, they're miracles. They really are. Like, how the fuck does it work? You know, if you kind of think about it, it's kind of magic. You know, it's like, I don't know, when you think about it in a caveman brain, it's like, oh my god, we can like experience lives.
Stop bringing it back to the cavemen.
Booga booga booga.
All right, bring in the caveman. Bring him in.